Nicklas Lidstrom has not just a case to be the greatest Red Wing defenseman of all time, but he has a case to be the greatest defenseman of all time, period. He was a very impactful player when he was on the ice, and he affected the game in many different ways. In this video, I will be giving a general overview of Lidstrom's career, showing his impact on defense and his contributions to winning Stanley Cups, along with how his production ranks in the history of NHL defensemen. So let's dive into it. Lidstrom played 1,564 regular season games. He scored 264 goals, and 35 of those goals were game-winning goals. He had 878 assists and 1,142 points. He played in 263 playoff games, and in those playoff games, he scored 54 goals, and 11 of those were game-winning goals. He also had 129 assists and 183 points. He was a 12-time All-Star, a 4-time Stanley Cup winner, a 7-time Norris Trophy winner, and a 1-time Conn Smythe Trophy winner. When Lidstrom joined the Red Wings, his impact was felt pretty much immediately. In the 1990-1991 season, the season prior to Lidstrom joining the Red Wings had a 34-38-8 record, which was good for 76 points. They ranked 17th out of 21 teams in goals allowed. They ranked 11th out of 21 teams in shots allowed. They ranked 19th out of 21 in terms of save percentage. And they ranked 18th out of 21 in terms of their penalty kill. So they had lots of work to do, in particular on the defensive end. Then in comes Nick Lidstrom. He was pretty much the only major acquisition that happened in the 1991-1992 season. The head coach was the same, the starting goalie was the same, and the Red Wings' leading scorers for the most part were the same. But Lidstrom came in and helped get the Red Wings record up to 43-25-12, which was good for 98 points. He helped get their goals against rank all the way up to 6th out of 22 teams. He helped get their shots against rank up to 3rd out of 22 teams. He helped get their save percentage all the way up to 9th out of 22 teams. And he helped get their penalty kill all the way up to 9th out of 22 teams. It's not just in the 1991-92 season where you can see Lidstrom's clear defensive impact. With Lidstrom in 1,564 games, the Red Wings allowed 2.6 goals per game and 26.9 shots per game. However, in the 44 games that Lidstrom missed in his career, the Red Wings allowed 2.86 goals per game. The shots allowed went down a little bit, but the goals allowed going up is definitely enough to see Lidstrom's clear impact. Some notable seasons that show how Lidstrom had a clear impact on the defensive side include the 1994-95 season, as the Red Wings' goals allowed per game went up from 2.42 to 2.6. In 2001-2002, the Red Wings' goals per game went up from 2.26 to 2.75 in the 4 games that Lidstrom missed. In the 6 games that Lidstrom missed in the 2007-08 season, the Red Wings' goals allowed went from 2.16 to 2.5. And even at the very end of his career, Lidstrom still was making an impact. In Lidstrom's last season, which was 2011-2012, the Red Wings' goals allowed went up from 2.34 per game in the 70 games Lidstrom played to 3.25 goals per game in the 12 games that he missed. So don't get me wrong, there were times where the Red Wings showed that they could be a good defensive team without Lidstrom. But Lidstrom just took it to a different level. Lidstrom didn't just win Stanley Cups. He contributed a lot to winning Stanley Cups. In the 1997 playoffs, Lidstrom had 2 goals, 6 assists, and 8 points. Nothing world-beating on the stat sheet. However, he helped hold the Flyers to 1.5 goals per game when the Flyers were scoring 4.07 goals per game in the playoffs prior to the Stanley Cup Finals. The Red Wings just dominated the Flyers on defense. In the 1998 playoffs, Lidstrom had 6 goals, which was top 6 on the Red Wings, and he had 2 game-winning goals. He had 13 assists, which was second on the Red Wings, and 19 points, which was top 4 on the Red Wings in the 1998 playoffs. In the 2002 playoffs, the year that Lidstrom won the Conn Smythe Trophy, he had 5 goals, 2 of which were game-winning goals, 11 assists, which were top 5 on the Red Wings, and 16 points, which were also top 5 on the Red Wings. Now, in all honesty, he had a better statistical output in the 1998 playoffs, but at the same time, we already know that Lidstrom was a clear impact player on defense, and he helped hold the Hurricanes to just 1.4 goals per game. And then in the 2008 playoffs, he had 3 goals, one of which was a game-winning goal, 10 assists, which was top 5 on the Red Wings, and 13 points, which was top 8 on the Red Wings. Solid performance in the playoffs, but the bigger part of it was how the Red Wings went in there and held the Penguins, who were averaging 3.64 goals per game in the playoffs prior to the Stanley Cup Finals, and the Red Wings held them to 1.67 goals per game. So like I said, Lidstrom didn't just win Stanley Cups, he contributed a lot to winning Stanley Cups. Now we definitely got to talk about how Lidstrom's production ranks in terms of Red Wings history, and then we'll talk about how his production ranks in NHL history. And please keep in mind that these rankings are among defensemen, unless I state otherwise. Lidstrom's 1,142 points are the most in Red Wings history for a defenseman by a wide margin, and his point totals just rank 4th overall in Red Wings history. His 878 assists are the most in Red Wings history for a defenseman, and they are 3rd overall in Red Wings history, period. His 264 goals are 1st in Red Wings history among defensemen. His 35 game-winning goals are the most in Red Wings history among defensemen. His 16 seasons with 40 or more assists are the most among Red Wing defensemen, and 2nd overall in Red Wings history. His 6 seasons with 50 or more assists are the most among Red Wings defensemen and the 2nd most overall in Red Wings history. His 2 seasons with 60 or more assists are top 2 in Red Wings history among defensemen. His 15 50-plus point seasons are the most in Red Wings history among defensemen. His 9 60 or more point seasons are the most in Red Wings history among defensemen, and his 4 70-point seasons are the most in Red Wings history among defensemen. In terms of how this production ranks in NHL history, his point and assist totals rank 6th in NHL history among defensemen, and his goal totals rank 8th in NHL history among defensemen. His 35 game-winning goals rank top 16 in NHL history among defensemen. His 16 40-plus assist seasons rank 2nd in NHL history among defensemen. His 6 50-plus assist seasons are top 9 in NHL history among defensemen. And his 2 60-plus assist seasons rank top 14 in NHL history among defensemen. His 15 50-plus point seasons are top 3 in NHL history among defensemen. His 9 60-point seasons rank 7th in NHL history among defensemen, and his 4 70-point seasons are top 12 in NHL history among defensemen. I feel like it's also worth noting that most of the people ahead of him played in an era where the goals per game for a team was above 3. And Lidstrom played in an era where the goals per game was mostly below 3. So his point totals may or may not have been even better had he played in a more high-scoring era. So if you didn't know already, Lidstrom was a pretty good hockey player, and he's certainly one of the best defensemen to ever put on the skates. Is he the best defenseman of all time? Honestly, I don't know. Does he have a case? Yeah, he does have a case. But in all honesty, that will be a discussion for a different time. But at the very least, he is one of the game's greats, and I'm glad the Red Wings got him. And I'm glad he played in the era that he played in. So Lidstrom is definitely a top 10 Red Wing of all time. And in all honesty, he's probably a top 5 Red Wing of all time. So that will be all for this video. Do you guys think Lidstrom's the best defenseman of all time? Or do you think that's a little bit of an exaggeration? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, thank you for watching.